Good morning, everyone. Let me say that I am happy and thankful and blessed to be able to see another Father's Day. I love my boys and my little daughter so very much. And this is a rather emotional Father's Day for me because I am now experiencing what so many others have experienced as well, and that is a first Father's Day without their father being alive in this present world. With that being said, today I want to dedicate this little short video to my dad so that, once it gets on the internet, it's out there forever. So that my boys, my younger boys growing up can see or hear the type of man that their grandfather was, and where I picked up some of those qualities as well. So without further ado, let me introduce to you my dad, Bobby Armstrong. My father was always a very dedicated person to what he believed in. His ideals, his dedication to his family was always first and foremost with anything. My father was, from what I understand, growing up, the type of kid that got things done. He was a stocky kid. He was strong. Teenage growing up, he grew up on a farm in a little city outside of Gastonia called Dallas, North Carolina. Many people don't even know there's a Dallas, North Carolina. But yes, there is. Dallas, North Carolina. That's where he grew up, on a farm on Route 1 in Dallas, North Carolina. And my mother used to laugh and say that they lived so far in the sticks that you could barely tell the time on a clock if it was in front of your face. That's how dark it got out there at night. With all of that being said, he was a member of the United House of Prayer for All People in Dallas, North Carolina. Played on the band, the shout band, and his passion, of course, was singing. Everybody knows my father loved to sing, and they sung the traditional gospel quartet style of singing. Him, his brothers, Uncle Jimmy, Uncle Bill, and along with some of the Cloud brothers, Willis, Robert, to name a few. Apostle Cloud was a little older. He had already left. But there was some other Cloud, Reginald Cloud, great saxophone player down in that area. And a few more names that I used to hear him call. They all sung together on a gospel singing group. My father was either first lead or second lead. Uncle Jimmy was either, him and my uncle alternated leading the group. He met my mother by traveling with their pastor, the late Elder George Washington from Gastonia. Met my mother by traveling with him up to Cherryville, North Carolina, where they pitched a tent, started a house of prayer there, and my grandmother would hear the music in the evening, and she followed the sound of the music because she had never heard any type of music like that before. And that's how my mother and father met. And from there, it was bliss, if you want to call it that. My father became best friends with my mother's oldest brother, Roger, Uncle Roy. And they were able to build a camaraderie and became best friends. And of course, that allowed my dad to come around and see my mother. Back then, dating was not even thought about. My mother also asked my grandmother, said, well, how can I tell him that I like him? She said, you just watch him. But anyway, they had a few little instances where they were able to talk, and my mom was able to express her like, and my dad was able to express his like. In 1956, Christmas Eve, they went to Gaffney, South Carolina, and got married. In 1958, Tina was born, and my dad was a constant in her life as well. And then 19 years later, I was born in 1977. And I can attest to you that there was not a night that my mother had to worry about where my father was, because he was at home every night. She knew where he was in the daytime, working. My father was self-employed for a while, and you know, she knew where he was, who he was with, and you know, he closed shop down at 5:30. He was at home. My dad was a quiet man. Now, he was very quiet. If you went to any kind of family function, he was always sitting in the corner with his legs stretched out, with his eyes closed. I often wonder how he knew what was going on, because he always sat with his eyes closed. Never understood that, but that was how he was. My mother and father were a example couple in our family because of their longevity, their dedication to each other, and their qualities of marriage was just outstanding. I never heard them argue or fuss with one another. He's never laid a hand on her. She ain't never laid a hand on him. Whatever my mom needed, he was there to provide, and vice versa. I grew up in a household where every morning there was a warm breakfast. When we went to school, when Tina and I went to school, there was no bowl of cereal or some little snack and rushed on out the door. No, we had grits, eggs, sausage, toast. There was a phase I always wanted French toast, so I got the French toast. There was a phase I wanted pancakes. I got the pancakes. Always a hot breakfast. We never went out the door without a hot breakfast. Whether my mother cooked it or whether my dad cooked it. Be it that growing up, my mother went to work a little bit later than my father, so she did the cooking of the breakfast. But it was just a wonderful household, and he was always there. Now, I never played sports with my dad because he was very overprotective. I don't ever remember us playing catch outside, but he was just overprotective. But he was a constant positive force in my life. Going to the house of prayer, we went all the time because the house of prayer is open every night for service. So, you know, when it was time to sing, he was there. On Sunday morning, he was there. When the bishop was in town, you know, we were singing. And, you know, the singing part, it really opened my eyes to something. Whereas a lot of people kind of pictured my father as like this celebrity singer in the house of prayer. To him, it was just singing. He just did what he loved to do. when it was time to sing, that's what he did. He sung. He never looked for any type of recognition. He never looked for any type of special accolade, even though that was given to him by our former bishops in the house of prayer. He just got out there and did what he loved to do, and singing in front of thousands of people was nothing to him. But you get him in a crowd of 10 or 15 people, and he sat there quiet, legs stuck out, eyes closed. That was him. And, you know, he was a forceful figure in a quiet way. His presence is what made the difference. True story. In my conclusion here of my father's tribute for Father's Day. True story. When I was a teenager, the first time that I ever stayed out past curfew was with Damian White, Felton Hanna, Michael Cheek, and I want to say Wendell Fortson was in the car at the time too. I might be mistaken, but I think Wendell was in there. And we had went down to Liberty, North Carolina, because Felton wanted to see some girl down there. And on the way back, the car ran out of gas. So we are now pushing this car and getting it to coast down streets and stuff like that. Not a cop in sight. Nobody had a quarter or $1 to get gas with. Somewhere along the line, somebody scraped up some money. We got like $2 worth of gas, enough to get us up Yanceyville. And yeah, Wendell was in there because he was the first one to get dropped off. Then it was Damien who got dropped off, and then it was me. And by this time, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I am dreading going into the house, and I see the light is on in the living room. And I just know he's up waiting for me, and I just know that I'm going to get the worst whooping of my life. So I walk in, and I'm just going to be like, look, I'm going to just tell him, here's what happened. It wasn't intentional. Hopefully he'll be understanding. Okay. Lo and behold, I walk into the house, and the person sitting on the couch is my mother, with her little fist balled up tight as could be, sitting on the edge of the sofa, and she's ready to knock me out. And I say, hey, Ma, how you doing? I'm okay. I'm okay. I played the victim. I'm all right. You would never believe what happened. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I smoothed it over with my mother. And I'm like, I'm kind of teed off that Dad is back there in the bed, sleep. He ain't wait up for me. Oh, no. She said, no, he went on to sleep. He said, you'll be home. Okay. All right. I'm with that. Get up the next morning. Hey, Dad, how you doing? Fine. What happened to you last night? Daddy, you'll never believe that boy's car ran out of gas. I'm blaming Felton. The car ran out of gas. We were trying to push the car and all this kind of stuff. He said, well, it had a choke on it, didn't it? Like, yeah. He said, well, you could have let the choke out. It would have gave you more gas. Huh? Yeah. I said, well, Daddy, why didn't you wait up for me? He said, I knew you'd be home. You ain't have nowhere else to go. All right. Oh, okay. So I figured something out. In order to get over on my father, if I went and asked him first to use his car, hey, Dad, I can, do you mind if we might be out a little later? He said, well, take a few dollars with you. If you need to call. I never would have thought he would give me that much leniency because he was very, very strict and stern. So with that being said, I grew up with a wonderful father. He's resting in peace now, and I will forever be grateful for the 42 years of life with him and his dedication to the four of us in our family, me, my mom, Tina, and to himself and to God, because he put God first in his life, and he was just a wonderful father, and I will forever be grateful. His memory will continue to live on, and what can you say? You know, we carry these precious memories. There's an old song that we sang in the church, precious memories, how they linger. And they will forever linger in my heart. Thank you, folks, to all the dads out there. Have a great Father's Day.
I'll be singing, boy, nothing